call them Team Polikoff, but also Stephanie and Matthew. Thank you very much. Next up, cue the music. Cue the music. From Education First, and one of my fellow founders of the Young Education Professionals many, many, many years ago, Jen Vranek. Woohoo!
Is this on? I'm not sure this is on. Sorry. Oh, okay, now it's working. Can Lydia and Jamie just come up and join me again, and we'll just do that high school presentation again? That was great. So our proposal differs from current accountability systems with our 2 design objectives and our 2 rating scales. In our system, schools have to pay attention to the performance of all students, not just those who are at or near proficient, while they also have to focus on closing achievement gaps. And I think maybe the most unique aspect of our proposal is that we give local communities a real hand in how schools are held accountable. We also have a 0 to 100 score scale for what we call the base points, based on the 4 components of ESSA: achievement growth, English learners, and school quality, and a local scale, 0 to 20 points in the same 4 areas. Here's some highlights of how our proposal accomplishes the design objectives. In the base accountability system, we give more credit to students scoring above the standard than students scoring at the college and career ready standard, partial credit if you're at the partial, and 0 points if you're at the lowest level. We also ask schools to select a pre-K to 2 literacy measure so that we're holding the elementary school accountable, not just for the upper grades, but for most of the students. And the majority of the points in our base system, almost 60, come from targeting and improving the performance of students by race, ethnicity, income, by closing the biggest gap that's specific to that particular school, and helping English learners learn English quickly. In our local system, local districts, in collaboration with their schools, select all of the indicators, the measures, and the targets. We also have a waiver, legal, illegal, we'll ask, find out, to enable innovators to go beyond and improve upon the state system. Hopefully Tony's dad can understand this. This is
my dad's going to disinherit.
Good. Well, Mr. Petrilli and Mr. Vranek will recognize the fuel gauges. For every indicator in our system, both base and local points, we want to show how our school's performance compares on the indicator against the state average for demographically similar schools. And that's what you see here. We have a raft of measures, but 80 points of the 100 come from achievement, growth, and English learners. Our other school quality points, majority of those are for reducing chronic teacher absenteeism and student absenteeism. Happy to talk attendance rates. We have the local points. Again, you see the fuel gauges. And the key thing here is these should reflect the local priorities of the school, and it should be a limited set of measures that are the most important ones to reflect it. It might be the Manitou, Colorado music. It might be growth in math for students with disabilities or closing the girl-boy gap in science. It could be a reduction in disproportionality for student discipline. So this is where districts make a compact with their schools and submit a plan to the state and say, here's how we want this to work. We roll the rating up by keeping the 2 scales separate. In our sample school, they did very well on the base points, 78 of 100, much higher than the state demographically similar schools average, and 11 of 20 on the local points. That means they're a yellow school, 6 stars.
Well done, Jen. Woo! Well, let's hear it for it. Yes. So my dad drives an electric, so okay. All right, Andy, you with the first question.
Yeah, 2 questions just about the local community, like a district part of the accountability system, and I think they're related. But the first part is the value that you get from allowing local differentiation, you lose in statewide comparability. People could say, well, if we're allowing all these districts to do their own thing, how do we know that we have a statewide, fair, equitable system of schools? So what do we lose when we allow local metrics? The second part of this is actually just an administrative question. If a district has to submit to the state its plan for these local metrics, that's one thing in Maryland, where you have 24 school districts. It's an entirely different thing in New Jersey, about the same size-ish of a state with 600 plus school districts. So how do we have a State Department of Education every single year litigate whether or not all these different district plans work?
I forgot your first question already, so I'm going to answer the second one. You know, the variation isn't likely to be that variable, but it does require an SEA to be able to administer it. And I think it's like the performance contract. The state is holding the district's accountability for making good choices with its schools, and the schools are closest to the district, and they work together on what the metrics are. And your first question was?
Yeah, just lack of comparability statewide when you allow differentiation.
Yeah. So 100 points come from the comparable indicators. Districts only select 2 of the sub-indicators that make those up. And we designed this so that the local points cannot trump the base points. That's why you see the scale as they appear as equal here, but you can't get higher performance, more stars from your base points from your local points if your base go down. So we really do have a stronger emphasis on state with allowing for local innovation and flexibility.
Joanne?
My question just got answered, actually.
Oh, excellent. All right. Good. I thought there were some questions maybe about K2 literacy and the role of that. Can you want to talk about that at all? Is there
a question, or I could talk about K2 literacy?
Yeah.
So we thought, for example, that the districts, most schools, worth their salt, are already administering all sorts of formative diagnostic assessments to find out where kids are, whether they come in and how far they're getting. And if we're going to look at reading comprehension in grades 3, 4, and 5, we should see where they are before that.
Okay. Big round of applause for Jen. Way to go. So again, a proposal a little bit like Dale Chews and Eric Lirham's in terms of allowing for some menu, or at least in this case it's more locally developed, and for that to be a part of the system. How do you like that idea, as well as some of the other particulars about their proposal? Loving it. A lot of people loving it. Let's see, keep going. Vote, vote, vote. Trying to get more local buy-in into these measures. Seems like a good idea to me. Okay, a lot of love it. Okay, let's hear it. Let's start with Andy this time. We got to finish strong, people. We got to finish strong.
I definitely like it. There are really good things in here, and this, you can tell my biggest interest was in this local component, and you can tell that there are a bunch of different proposals here that are trying to get at the exact same thing, which is a statewide system with a number of graduation rates and test scores. Doesn't capture everything, so whether we're using a grand jury system, whether we're using some sort of inspectorate, whether we use these local metrics, they're all trying to triangulate on what is a school good at and what is it not. So this model, I think, is great. It's a great addition to the conversation.
Joanne.
So I gave this a love it because I thought that the whole way of doing the community engagement and the school level metrics was actually meaningful and built into the accountability system in a way that didn't actually damage its comparability across districts in the state, but that did give communities a way to really take what they were trying to work on that particular year in their school and show it and then report against it. So I thought that was a very, very creative solution to a problem that I think is an important problem to solve.
Okay. Charlene?
Strongly in the love it category for a variety of reasons. The focus on all students, K2 literacy, I really liked the community engagement component of it. Something a little different with local control. As a charter school person, totally excited about that in a meaningful, comparable kind of way. So definitely excited about this. Love it.
Okay.
So I went with like it, and I liked it. I'll tell you, in my mind, it had some of the best ideas of any of them I read. In just phenomenal ideas. And I got to tell you, I really liked your dashboard. That was incredible. The only place you tripped me up that kept me from loving it was kind of the amalgamation of what I would refer to as the Sesame Street green, yellow, red system combined with the stars. That one was a little tough for me to digest because I just didn't understand where you were going with it. I thought you were just trying to do too much with that.
All right, great. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Jen Vranek in Education First. And now we've got the creator of the Colorado Growth